Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. How I missed this iron, I have no idea. If anyone knows how much I love the new Cobra 3D P Tour Irons, the 3D printed Tour Irons, they are amazing. The forgiveness that they have got, the consistency they have of when you don't hit the middle, how little ball speed they lose from across the parts of the face you really shouldn't be hitting is amazing. That's the whole idea of the 3D printed technology. Now, Cobra, back in the day, now, we're not talking many years, but a few years, they made this, the Cobra Tour MIM, the metal injection molding. And this was the iron which started off Cobra's route towards the 3D printing. This is different to how every other iron is made. You either have cast, which is effectively molten metal which you pour into a mold and then it sets, or you have forged, where you have a very hot billet of steel and a massive press comes down and smacks it into shape. This is made of stainless 304 steel, stainless steel, but in powder form and then heated to something like 1340 degrees centigrade, which is rather hot, to get what you see here. Of course, this is chrome, which I like straight away, but this has got some interesting technology. We have tungsten in the toe, has got a TPU insert. Again, that is trying to keep sound down. This is very much so a player's iron at 33 degrees, so it's got to sound a certain way. Looks on this one, straight away, it is chrome, so I love it. I love chrome. I'm a traditionalist. I think every player's iron should have a little bit of chrome on it. Top lines are relatively thin. We do have a slightly thicker top line that you can see, but the back is slightly chamfered and it's chromed, so you can't actually see the full thickness, so it does look quite thin. No difference to the sole thickness. Sole thickness is around about medium or so, but the big thing that this golf club does really well, and it's down by the golf ball. When you put this down by the golf ball, because it's got quite a squat blade length, it's not massively big, and we do have chrome on the front as well, it does make the blade lengths look quite nice and squatty, and it's just like a really nice player's looking shape. I'm at a hole where, as you can see, we have a little bit of carry issues. We have water, we have rocks. I think it's about 171 yards or so to go, so hopefully this 33 degree lofted 7 iron will get there, because if I don't, it's gonna look a bit embarrassing, but hey, it doesn't matter, it's YouTube. Right, let's go give this one a hit, because I'm wondering how good this is. It does feel very nice. Just a fraction too far. Will it stop? That's on the collar. Club head speed 89.2 miles an hour, club par 3.3 from the inside, but my face is only 0.4 degrees closed. Wasn't enough to try and draw it back. Strike's pretty good though, 0 hill, but 4 millimeters low, fractionally lower on the face. But we're still doing a carry of 172 yards, going 35 yards in the air and 48.1 degrees descent angle. So you saw, basically it stopped on the collar, but it's gonna stop on the green, and that's what you want. It's going up, it's stopping, it's doing really well. Feel-wise, it's a player's iron. I can't tell the difference between this not being a forged iron, whether it's because the MIM is very much close to the forging, or the fact that TPU insert is doing a really good job of cutting down the noise, the sound. I don't know, but it's performing really well. It feels really good. Looks quite good as well with the chrome. Did I mention the chrome? I do like my chrome. Let's go give it another go. I am interested to hit it all over the face though, because obviously this is the first iteration for Cobra to go down the route of the 3D printed. And we know how good the 3D printed iron is. So is this any better than a standard normal construction golf club? One of their forged or one of their castings? We'll find out. I mean, it's solid. It just feels really quite nice. Has a carbon copy of the shot before, just so good. Club head speed 90.1 miles an hour, 1.2 from the inside. Face is 0.0, 0 to that. Spin axis is tiny, 1.2 degrees, but 2 millimeters hill, 3 millimeters low, so within a very small amount. Absolutely out the middle, just feels really quite good. Carry 172 yards, peak up at 36 yards in the air and 49 degrees descent angle, working really quite well. Now I will be hitting this at 3 different swing speeds. You can see they're swinging at 90 miles an hour. Not every single person who plays golf swings at 90 miles an hour. We all swing at different speeds. So I'll be doing my 70, 80 and 90 miles an hour to see how well this works at 3 different swing speeds. So of course, nowadays you can get some pretty good deals on one of these. Again, you've got eBay and Facebook Marketplace and all the different other places which sell second-hand golf equipment, because from what I can see at the moment, working really well, feels really good, looks really good, hasn't got a huge amount of offset. It just looks a really attractive iron. How forgiving is it? We'll find out in a little bit, but at the moment, it just works really quite well. A fraction high on the face. That's maybe 3 millimeters high. I could feel it, as you can see, just drop down a little bit on its carry. 2 millimeters. 2, that's it, 2. But that goes with the importance of making sure you hit the middle. We have got a club head speed of 90 or so miles an hour. We've got a club path 1.5 from the inside, and face to path again, 0.0, 0 mil toe, 2 mil high, a fraction higher on the face, but you can see how the carry comes off. I've had this conversation before when it comes to the number side, and also in the comment section of different videos where people want me to test high on the face. Well, as soon as you hit high in the face, it doesn't take long at all for that ball speed, for that distance to come off quite quickly. So if you can hit it low, you'll get away with thin to win. Never hit it high in the face. We lost a little bit there, but it's going 37 yards in the air and 49 degrees center angle. So it's going to stop on any green. It just lacks a little bit of distance. We're only, what, 5 yards or so, but that's only 2 millimeters. Doesn't take much. Feel-wise still, the great thing about this kind of iron, or these players' side of iron, is the amount of feedback you get. I instantly could tell that I hit slightly high in the face. I thought it was 3 millimeters, it was 2 millimeters. I'm 1 millimeter out. That's how good these things are. Sometimes with the game improvement irons, you get it numb, you can hit all over the face. It feels like you're hitting somewhere near middle, and you can be hitting some really bad strikes. That's why sometimes, that's that old adage, should you actually start or learn to play golf with a blade? Probably not, but you kind of get the idea. Right, give it another go. I'm looking forward to doing 3 different swing speeds, the heat map testing, all that kind of idea. I mean, it's just good. I mean, that's 3 of, yeah, not quite carbon copies, but nearly carbon copies. Club head speed, 90.1 miles an hour, 2.3 from the inside. Face, 0.5 close. Needs a fraction, get it a little bit turning, a fraction more to get it back to target. But 0 mil high, 0 mil toe, right out of the screws. Just feels really very, very good. Carry, 172 yards. 2 millimeters, that's all the difference it makes. But back to 172 yards, 36.5 yards in the air, descent angle 49 degrees. Guys, if you are on the market and you want a set of golf clubs which work really well from the middle, not 2 mil high in the face, it doesn't work very well, but you kind of get the idea. These will be relatively cheap now, and they work, feel, and look really quite good. Well, not quite the same, but still on the collar. Just managed to get the face rotating that time. Club speed 90.7 miles an hour. Club path 3.2 from the inside. Face is 1.8 degrees closed. Getting that golf ball turning back to target. 0 mil heel, 0 mil high. Absolutely out of the screws. 175 yards. Added a few yards extra of distance with that face now turning it back a little bit, trying to get a little bit more distance, but means 3 yards. We're looking at 37 yards in the air, 49 degrees descent angle. This is working exceptionally well. This is a 33-degree lofted head, although it's performing exceptionally well. Feeling is really good, looks really good, works really well. What more could you want? So let's go hit this all over the face. Got some proper miss hits. Let's go hit some parts where you really shouldn't. Get a good heat map, see how much ball speed drop off you get when you don't hit the middle. Let's also test it at 3 different swing speeds, 70, 80 and 90 miles an hour, because we all don't swing at 90 or so miles an hour. Let's go see how good this old King Tour MIM iron is. All the shots now hit with the Cobra MIM Tour Iron. I've also put it up against the Cobra 3DP, the end result of what the MIM started, to see actually how good the MIM is, and also compared to the best iron I think I've ever tested in the 3DP. On the screen you can see we've got the heat map data. The heat map data is a visual representation of how much ball speed you lose when you don't hit the middle. If you haven't seen these before, this is a representation, so we're looking at it face on. So plus 22 on the left hand side, that is the toe. Right hand side, minus 22, that is the heel. We've got high and also low. The blue line on the screen there is turf interaction line. If you hit the golf ball higher than that line, 5 or 6 millimeters on the face, you are going to be interacting with the ground first. No one likes hitting a chunk. No one likes removing best part of a cubic yard of wherever they are in the world out first. You haven't got to worry about ball speed when you do that. And of course, if you are on a tee or in some fluffy rough or anything else like that, where you have the opportunity to hit high on the face, please don't, because it's not good at all. You lose a heck of a lot of ball speed in a not short amount of time going high on the face. So that's the reason why they call it thin to win. You can go all the way to 20 or so millimeters on the face of the MIM and lose around about 4%, which is not a bad number at all. Slightly more sensitive off of the heel. If you go 20 or so millimeters on the heel, then we're losing around about 5%. Although I would say if you're going to go move anywhere near that number, if you look at the overlay down the bottom left-hand side, you see that red strip. That is, please don't hit me anywhere there because I will be interacting with the hosel. You can go low on the face, and when you're talking about top territory, it's in around sort of 4 or 5%, which is not bad. It's doing okay. Is it an amazing iron? No. Is it a rubbish iron? Absolutely not. At the moment, it's an all-round okay iron. All this information that you see when it comes to heat maps, no different to what we're going to be looking at now with the radar chart, putting it up against the 3DP and the 3 different swing speeds where we'll look in a sec, is all available on my website, www.askgolfnut.com, where we've got 90 or so irons, give or take, on the database at this time currently, and that's obviously growing every single release that we do. So we've got the information on the screen. This is the radar chart, or web spider graph, whatever you want to call it, and it enables us to look at all the different parts of the face and see which one wins compared to the others. And also on the second part of this diagram, we've got the flight differences between the two. Let's go look at the toe differences first between this and the AGN player's cavity. All of the player's cavity irons that we've got on the database, and there are quite a few now of the 90 plus, how well does it do compared to the average of the player's cavity? Because this is firmly in the player's cavity sector. And you can see on average it's doing fractionally better than the average of the player's distance average, so it's doing fine. Heel actually is slightly worse off the heel than the average, so if you are a heel striker, there are other player's cavity irons out there that will do a slightly better job than the Cobra MIM. And then when you're looking at low, it's fractionally under the average of forgiveness for just low strikes. Overall though, for the forgiveness, compared to the average of all the other players' cavity irons, it's doing okay, but it is fractionally under the average. So there are other golf clubs out there on the players' cavity which will do a better job overall and in certain areas as well. So in the forgiveness side of things, it's doing all right, but it's not doing amazingly well. This is the part where you look at the flight differences. So where different people will require different things depending if they deliver lots of loft or they don't swing very fast or they're looking at something that spins a lot or not. All these different things, that this is the side of the spider graph or radar chart that will be very much so individual, characteristic of the golfer, not necessarily an absolute one is good and one is bad. But looking at face speed, the Cobra MIM is really very, very quick. This is the part where it does show how good it is compared to the rest. If you look at the rest of the AGN players cavity average, so all of the players cavity averages, it is common that the players cavity have got slow faces. And the reason why that's important is because it's when you make the middle slower, it then makes making the outsides, the parts where you shouldn't hit but you do, a little bit easier, more consistent, because you haven't got to do much tech-wise to make them faster to get a more consistent face. Very, very difficult when you've got a golf club which is very quick off the middle, because then you have to make the outsides even quicker, and then you get very close to the problem with metallurgy, the structural integrity of the metal. Other golf clubs that have had a very, very fast face and trying to make them forgiving as well have had failures in the face crackings, etc. They have been well documented because you're trying to push the technology too far, you're trying to push face thickness, etc. too far, and you do get failures. So to see the Cobra MIM Tour have the face speed that it's got, and it's only just under the average player's cavity forgiveness, is actually quite impressive. If you go to the face spin rate, it is fractionally lower than the average, and again, that's not either a good thing or a bad thing. It is purely down to what you need, if you need more spin or less spin, but it has got a fractionally better launch factor as well. And so that key point from a low swing speeds point of view is, if you are going to have a slow swing speed golfer, the 70 miles an hour, and you want as much distance as you possibly can do, face speed and launch factor, not face spin rate. Face spin rate is there for consistency of flight. nothing to do with how it climbs in the air and stuff like that. It is a complete myth. So launch factor and face speed are the biggest things that you can have to try and get for a slow swing speed golfer to get that golf ball going, and it is just fractionally better than the average. If you put it up against the 3DP Tour, before we go to the 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, I just want to show you what happens, what Cobra have done when it comes to the 3DP Tour with the MIM. And it started off with the MIM and then it's moved onwards with the Limit 3D, and obviously now we've got the 3DP Tour. The 3DP Tour just basically wins nearly everywhere. And I would like to say this, the 3DP Tour is the most forgiving iron I have ever tested. However, it is the most unique iron that I've ever tested, because the fastest part of the face is not in the middle, where it is in the middle on every other iron I have ever tested. And on all of the 90 plus or so irons, every single one of them is right where you should hit the golf ball, apart from the 3DP. 3DP runs at about 5 or 6 millimeters lower on the face. That is the fastest part. So when you hit the middle, the part where you should hit it, you're actually losing around about 2% of your ball speed. When you go to 5 or 6 millimeters low, you're gaining that 2% back, so you're 2% long. But then when you go even lower and then move off the heel and toe, you're losing a couple of percent. It is by far, and I've done a video comparing the 3DP Tour to show you the differences, and it's basically when you put it and reference it how I want to, from the middle, the whole face goes green. Because the old heat map could not do plus numbers. It could not understand that you add speed and then drop it. It only does losses. So we had to adjust the understanding for the heat maps from the 3DP, because it is just so massively different. The information on the radar chart that you see there is referenced from the fastest part of the face, as I'm trying to be as kind to every single iron on the database, other iron on the database, from referencing the 3DP to the fastest part of the face, where I would really like to reference it from the middle, like everyone other the 90 plus are referenced from the middle. But it's being kind, these are numbers, and it still outdoes the MIM. Time for the 3 different swing speed. This is the SelfFit Tool. This is the gold tier on the website. This enables the gold tier members to check out any of the 90 plus irons that we currently have, compare them against any of the other 90 plus, see which one's going to be better for them, compare the flights, compare the distances, compare the gappings. The great thing also that you can do some adjustability with the SelfFit Tool. You've got the 70 miles an hour, -2 set at the top there. 70 miles an hour is obviously the clubhead speed. We've got the angle attack at -2. How much you hit down on the golf ball. Some people hit down more than others, some people even hit up. And then you've got the shaft lean, which is a measure of how much you de-loft, how much you either add or take away loft. And of course you can change the slider depending on how you deliver, and personalize all these results and trajectories to your own swing. But you can see we've got the MIM Tour selected there, and we've got the 7 iron selected. This is a 70 mile an hour swing. So we've got a max carry of 122 yards, average carry is 117. Average carry is just basically a measure of how much drop off you get when you take a nominal miss, a half-inch miss around the face on average, how much ball speed do you drop, how much distance do you drop, and you're losing around about 5 or so yards. So you've got peak height 23 yards in the air and descent angle at 44.7. Now that's really very good. And so yes, if you're a 70 mile an hour swing speed golfer, absolutely you can have a 7 iron, and even at 43.4 for the 6 iron, you can have a 6 iron as well. Going to a 5, 41.4, would I have that? Probably not, being honest, because even though 41.4 degrees is over the 40 degree mark, you're going to be worried when you don't hit a perfect shot. Again, these are middle hits, and if you do deviate slightly around the face, you are going to lose a little bit of ball speed, you are going to lose a little bit of peak height and then descent angle. You're going to go under that 40 degree number, and you're a bit lap of the gods if it's going to stop or not. So if you swing like this at 70 miles an hour, I would say 6 iron would be your last golf club before you move into a hybrid or a high lofted fairway wood. Go to 80 miles an hour, and then we're looking at max carries now 143, 137, so we're losing about 6 yards or so for the average carry, rounded. And again, that could be 5.5 yards, but you kind of get the idea. Peak height 31 yards and 49.1 degrees descent angle. more than enough at 80 miles an hour. And yes, at 80 miles an hour, delivering like this is fairly shallow, -2. I tend to deliver a little bit more down. I hit down about 3 or 4 degrees, and I shaft lean about 1 degree more than I hit down. So I will promote slightly more distance, but slightly less in the way of peak height descent angle. But that's what happens when you swing faster. If you swing fast, you can get away with hitting more down, etc. But anyway, that's a different conversation. So you're looking at a decent amount. Even if you go 4 iron at this, you can still do 44 degrees. That whole set is functional, working very, very well. If you go full on 90, well, you haven't got to worry about anything. 90 miles an hour, all the golf clubs work, no problem whatsoever. Would I use 4 iron personally? Even at my speed, no, because I like the functionality that I get from my hybrid. I can hit it high, I can hit it low. With the 4 iron, I still feel like I'm having to hit it fairly high to try and get it into a green and have some modicum of control. With the hybrid, I just have a much more versatile and much more three-dimensional option to use, and the fact that I've got roll and bulge on that face, I've got a curved face. Conclusion to the Cobra MIM Tour irons. Looks, feel, performance, forgiveness. Looks, I love the chrome. I love the squat blade length. I love the dimensions of it. The back looks a bit busy. Does look a bit dated now with the black and the silver and the chrome. When it comes to the feel, feels lovely. It really, really does. This MIM technology, metal injection molding, however they do it, does make it feel like a forged iron. And it just sounds lovely when you hit it straight out the screws. Performance-wise, just make sure within your custom fitting you are looking at your descent angles and your peak heights, etc. with that 7 iron, because again, generally speaking, you always do your custom fittings with a 7 iron. It's massively important that you don't buy something that you don't need. That was the reason why AskGolfNut.com was basically made, was so golfers can go on there, they can, for their fittings, before they're going to make a buying choice, go on there, look what's going to be functional for them. How many golf clubs do they actually need? Just because it comes in 3 to gap wedge doesn't mean you need 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron, especially if they're not functional. So that's the reason why you can go on there. You can check all your distances, check all your gap in, check all your potential flights, etc. If you are a gold member and you are using the SelfFit tool and you need a little bit of help when it comes to what your sliders need to be set, again, I'll put my contact information down on the screen there so you can get hold of me and I can give you a hand. Discord is possibly the best way you can get hold of me. So again, you can email me, but I don't really go on my emails too much. If not, I'll be living on there. So Discord is by far the best option. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go and give it a big old thumbs up. Hit that like button. YouTube like, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It is great for the channel and for me if you could subscribe. So thank you. Next that one is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.